Okay, I'm going to call the meeting of the Audit Committee to order. First item on the agenda is the quorum call. Member Kroll?
Here.
Chairwoman, but member
Ex officio, I'm here.
Carol Scott, thank you. And member David Loeb.
Here.
Okay, we do have a quorum. I'm Rudy Garza. And at this time, we're going to ask for a moment of silence. Okay. David, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in going over the Del Mar College vision statement. Del Mar College empowers our communities to achieve their dreams. Del Mar College is streaming live audio and video from the official Board of Regents meetings, this particular committee meeting, on the college's website in real time, with the exception of portions of the meeting considered as closed session by statute. We're going to, at this time, ask for public comments. Is there anybody in the public that wants to make any comments to the board or to the committee?
Seeing none.
There are none. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, we're going to go right into approval of the minutes. By the way, did y'all get a chance to look over the minutes, committee members?
Make a motion to approve minutes.
Okay, we've got a motion. Is there a second? Second. Got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Okay, at this time, we're going to ask Tammy to step forward. We're going to go over the college's 2026 internal audit plan status.
Yes, thank you, sir. Today we'll have Dan Graves here with Weaver. He's going to present to you internal audit status on several audits that we have either completed or that are in the works right now. So we'll be going over institutional research and reporting, which is basically, we're calling it the data validation audit. Senate Bill 17 compliance, grants update, accounts payable and disbursements update. It's a follow-up report, and then financial aid follow-up. And then he'll also discuss the FY26 annual report, and we'll also go into some discussion about some planning for FY27, and we also need to do a refresh of our global risk assessment. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dan.
Okay, thank you, Tammy.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good to be back. Thanks for having me again. And we're excited, just to start off, we're excited that we've been reselected as the auditor for the college. Happy to carry on our relationship that we've had for so long. And it's glad to have a good partnership like that, and we appreciate it. As Tammy said, we've got a lot of different reports to cover, a lot of different status updates. You'll see in our presentation here the 2026 internal audit plan. The two items that are grayed out a little bit, we've already presented those, so just to let you know, I won't be covering those, but I wanted to provide you the full status. We have completed several reports and several of our audits. We do have two left that are in progress and should be wrapping up relatively soon, but we'll cover those as we go down. The first one I'd like to go through, we also have a few discussion items, as Tammy also said, our annual reports, risk assessment, and the internal audit plan. So wanted to first cover the data validation scope and audit. We are complete with that audit. You do not have a report in front of you because we're still drafting the report. We should have it complete and be able to have it issued to the full board before the next meeting. But we just didn't have everything, all the I's dotted and the T's crossed just yet to be able to distribute it to you, but we should have that shortly. The scope of this audit really focused on what the college is doing to report data and validate data and ensure that it's complete and accurate before it's released. So the bullet points there, I won't read them to you, but really centering around what we do with the data, how it's handled, how it's processed, how we ensure that it's correct, and what that workflow looks like before we send out reports. We know, as an educational institution, there are a lot of things that we report externally, whether that's on our website, whether that's to accreditation bodies, whether that's to oversight bodies. And so we wanted to make sure the goal of the audit was to ensure that there was complete and accurate reporting. We did divide that into two objectives. One is the process design, and two is the effectiveness of that process, or what the execution looks like. So we do have the report rating for you, although you don't have the report. It is a satisfactory rating, and so if you recall, we have a strong, satisfactory, and unsatisfactory. This received a satisfactory rating. We do have 4 findings, and I'm confident in conveying this to you verbally. 3 were moderate risk rated and 1 was low. All 4 of these are in our design of the process, and it really mostly centers around documentation. When we look at the 3, it's really about enhancing compliance and oversight, strengthening data governance policies, and so these would be data governance policies that would be a college-wide standard. There may be even a call at some point to have a board-level policy, but these would be really about how the college classifies data, handles data, and the governance of tagging, flagging, retaining, a big set of data governance. And as we move into a more prominent age of AI, it becomes even that much more important on what we do with it. The last is, in the moderates, is training over those data governance policies and the data governance requirements as it's required. The college has Graham Leach Bliley, we have FERPA, we also have some healthcare data, and some of our other programs, and so all of those different pieces would go into that data governance policy, and then we have to be trained on that adequately. And so those are really the top 3. The last one is really about, we have a drafted, as we were doing our procedures, the college had a drafted data management and classification plan. As we've gone through the audit and talking with the IT departments and other departments responsible for reporting, I know that that's been revised. And so really the low risk rated item is getting that approved and implemented to partner with the other data governance, the training, all the other aspects of the policies and procedures or standard operating procedures. Those are all in our Objective A. Our Objective B is, how effectively did we report? Did we get everything? Was it complete, accurate, timely when it was sent out? And I'm happy to report back to you that through all our testing, we selected a sample of reports. We traced those back to source data, and we had no exceptions. So there's some things to clean up on the front end from a policy, procedure, standard operating procedures, making sure we've got that side of the house in order. But as we're effectively reporting, we didn't have any issues. So I wanted that to be loud and clear to you as the audit committee, that we didn't there are no issues in, did we report the data accurately? Was it timely submitted? And then the review and approval of those reports before they were released, we didn't have any issues there. So that's the first audit. While you don't have the report, that is the status. Any questions for me before I move on?
I just have one for Ollie. Ollie, are there any concerns, any issues that you think we need to get our arms around before we actually roll out the initiatives related to AI?
No, sir. Exactly as Dan mentioned, we were aware that we need to have institution-wide data governance in place, and we've been working internally with Dr. Patricia's area, IR, all the other areas that are data owners and producers, to draft that, strengthen it, to work in tandem with our AI policy. And so we're not surprised with what Weaver has identified, and since the audit began, we've taken steps to have those things in place and remediated. So I feel this is accurate, and I feel we're on a good path, both for data in general and AI at the college.
Any other questions for David?
I have a question related to when this is going to go to the full board. Is it the October meeting? September meeting, okay.
Yes, so you should be able to, we'll be able to send that report out within the next week or so.
Okay, good deal.
Okay. So our next report that we're going to bring to you today, this one only has one slide because it's quick. It's a bigger audit, though. It is the Senate Bill 17. As you recall, last year we did I'll say a similar audit because we changed some of our procedures the way we did them. But we did an SB 17 audit last year. We did have a few things that we had talked with General Counsel and HR about to make sure that it got refined. In summary, well, just a reminder of what Senate Bill 17 is. It's the bill that prohibits spending any state funds on DEI-related activities. And so the objective was to ensure compliance with those requirements in the Texas Education Code. We found no violations. We found no anything that could be that we even felt the need to bring to the attention of management. We talked about a few things. We got those cleared up, and so we didn't have any issues with the way the college has either had from a policy perspective or from an execution standpoint, addressed anything related to Senate Bill 17. So you do have that report in front of you. It is a clean report. It's a compliance report, so we did not give it a rating, just like we did last year. You're either compliant or you're not, so there's really no need for a rating. And so that's why we issued it in the way that we did. But this is another overall positive, just shows the diligence in ensuring that we continue to comply with the SB 17 as an institution. I'll assume there's no questions, but I can pause for any if there are. Okay, good. If there's none, the next is our grant compliance. We're in the middle of testing for grant compliance. We have started where we're really in the heart of all of our field work, and so we are going to wrap that up. That will be likely coming to you in the October board meeting. We still have some testing. Really the goal and the scope of this is to test compliance with the policies and procedures and standard operating procedures that the college has in place. We did this audit a few years ago, and what the outcome was is that the college needed more robust framework around how grants will be handled and the processes around grants, all these things that are listed there in the bullet points. Those have been in place, and so now we're really trying to get in and test how well are we doing with those. And so those are things like reviewing expenditures before we request for reimbursement, and that's ensuring that we're filing grant reports on time. So those are operational and financial reports, managing the cash, making sure we're maximizing the use of those grants to the best that we can, that we've got all the expenditures ready before we run out of timeline. A lot of those things. So that's really what we're focused on. And then on the front end of that, of saying, before we apply for the grant, can we really comply with the requirements? And so that's an acceptance and setup phase. And so that's really where we're focused. As a status, we are just in the middle of testing, so we don't really have anything to report to you at this point other than that status. There's our two objectives. Again, we began field work in July. We do anticipate that we'll complete and be able to report by October. The other report that you have in front of you is our follow-up over accounts payable and disbursements. And so there was a 2024 internal audit where we had a few findings. As of today, well, when we started, we had 3 findings. The results of our work today is that we have one that's open, one that's partially remediated, and one that has been remediated. The 2 that are open and partially remediated, the crux of those is really having some policies and procedures that have been revised, all centered around travel reimbursements. And so we've worked with particularly Tammy about those, and she is in the process of getting those travel reimbursement policies refined and in place. And once those happen, these should be a pretty quick closeout for those 2 items. We do have financial aid follow-up. So if you recall, last year we had our internal audit that had 4 findings. We began testing in June. We are on the cusp of being complete. So I anticipate that all our testing will be done in the next couple weeks, with reporting, moving into that reporting phase and being done with that by September 15th. So that would also be something that we think we would bring to you at the October board meeting. So those are the status of all the internal audits. I'll go back to this slide here that really talks about the discussion items. So there's 3 other things left that we have to do this year. 2 of those being now that the contract has been renewed. The first thing that we need to do is to fill out our 2026 annual internal audit report. If you recall, that is an annual report that is required by the Texas Internal Audit Act. I know the college is not required to comply with the Texas Internal Audit, all the pieces of the Internal Audit Act, but the college has chosen to, and so we are going to fill out that report and send it to the state auditor's office in the spirit of compliance with that same requirement. I would love to tell you that it's already done, but we're still waiting on guidance that comes out from the state auditor's office. Every year they issue guidance on that, and it usually comes out the very first Monday of August. What has not yet been published. I didn't look this morning, but as of yesterday, it still wasn't published. And so a lot of people we're waiting on that. I don't anticipate any major changes for the college. Over the last probably 6 to 8 years, the report and the changes of those reporting requirements. I think the last big change was the item that was presented as item 3 in that report got moved to item 5. And so that was the last big change. So I don't anticipate anything earth-shattering. Last year there were 7 sections. Most of those were disclosures on the completion of the audit plan, what next year's audit plan will be. It includes our peer review report. It includes a statement that you will publish the annual report to your website, and then a disclosure on how you handle fraud, waste, and abuse complaints. So there won't be a lot to it. I don't anticipate many changes. That should be able to come up in the October board meeting. The requirement for that, for those that are required to comply, is a November 1st date to have that submitted to the state auditor's office by then. So we'll be well in advance of that by the time we bring it to you in October. In conjunction with that, one of those items is the 2027 internal audit plan. And so the other 2 things we have to do is perform a refresh of our risk assessment, where we go back and look at the enterprise-wide processes and risks, refresh that, double check all the ratings, make sure that there's any changes in college operations that we've accounted for that, and then develop a new internal audit plan. Typically, we develop a multi-year internal audit plan, and so that is something that we will do again this time. Is I want to bring back to the audit committee and then ultimately the board a 3-year plan so that you can see a long-term runway of what we hope to be able to accomplish and what our plan would be to accomplish. However, every single year we only ask for 1-year approval at a time. That way, when risks change, the environment changes, operations change, we respond appropriately with the internal audit plan and can update that a year at a time. And so that's what my plan would be, is to give you some long-term outlook, knowing that when we need to change, we can and we will, and we'll get those approvals in so that we can include the 2027 plan in that fiscal year 26 report in compliance with those requirements. So those are the discussion items and the status I have for you today. I can pause for any other questions, but those are the planned remarks that I have.
Davey, I'm sorry. Davey.
I guess the discussion item on the internal audit for 27, we just passed a new TERS policy that includes some changes into how we expect to get reporting on how the money has been spent. And so I think we would really benefit from y'all looking at our procedure on that and what we need reporting wise to comply with the policy, just to help our folks out and make sure that we're really accounting for that money. Because there's been some concerns about what happens to it after it goes and how we account for it. So I think that one's and those, we have at least one of them that's coming up pretty soon for perhaps reauthorization. And so I think having some certainty that system is set up and working well, I think would be really helpful.
Okay. Thank you for that feedback. That's helpful.
else? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Chair and committee members, just to comment, and I'll tell the whole board this as well. I want to thank you all for taking the initiative and doing a voluntary audit on the SB 17, the DEI audit. I think you all are probably aware of this, but the state auditor's office continues to go down their list of every university system and community college in Texas, and we will. It's not a matter of whether we will be picked. We will eventually be picked and audited. And so the fact that you're being proactive about this and asking Mr. Graves and his team to look at this, I appreciate that. But I wanted you all to be aware of that as the audit committee, that at some point we will be called upon to participate in an audit with the state over those requirements.
That's a great point. I actually, on my drive in consultation with another higher education client of mine today, learned they were discussing plans with their state auditor's liaison, and about once every 4 years, they plan to rotate through each higher education institution. So we've got through 2 years, so you've got 2 years left, but that is something that we will continue to do at the request of general counsel and continue to help monitor that so that whenever the state does come in and look at it, that you'll have positive results.
Well, thank you. I'm in awe at how quick the staff, Dr. Scamian, his group have done to be able to pivot and put us in a position where we will not endanger the institution's funding from the state should we, continue or make some missteps that are now against the law. So again, thank you for your diligence, and I thank the staff for their hard work. Madam Chair.
Just because we have a minute, on the 27 plan, something you said, I want your assurance, something that I'm making an assumption about. And so I'm going to ask you about my assumption that based on your other work in higher education, do you see problems at other institutions that you double check on all of us on? I mean, is that part of your development of your 27 plan, is to see where there might be some activities or problems in other areas of higher education? You're like, you know what, we should probably test that throughout all of our clients. Does that go into your thought process?
Your assumption's correct. Yes, we do. We use the knowledge that we gain from other clients, what we see happening, quote unquote, in the industry. We try and stay attuned to what's going on in higher education in the state and nationally. Particularly with there's been several inquiries this year, as you know, from the legislature, questionnaires that have been sent out, filled out by every higher education institution. So we've been involved in those here and elsewhere. So we do really try and stay attuned to that. I've got my own tickler set up for legislative session to see what bills are going through. So yes, we do incorporate that. And then as we see emerging issues, again, in the quote unquote in the industry, we do make sure that we bring those to the attention and are talking about those with all of our clients before, really to try and stay in front of, or at least on pace with whatever's happening. That's why we always have that caveat of we can change the internal audit plan anytime we need to, so that if we need to respond to something that's what we, in our professional lingo, term as an emerging risk, we always have the ability to pause and adjust and respond.
Tammy wants to add something.
Oh, yeah. Tammy? Go ahead.
Just a suggestion on the, going back to what Regent Lowe mentioned on the tourist policy. I know what we have, how we position some things in the past, instead of a full-blown audit, it could look like that, but we also call it an advisory. So basically, it does give the auditors an opportunity to give us more advisory and help us develop. So maybe that's something you can also consider entertaining, that maybe it's, and we'll get with Dan to see what would be more of his liking. But I know we've have positioned some of these more of an advisory than a full-blown audit, because we need to develop some more formal processes. So just something to think about as something's brought forward in the future.
Any other comments, questions? Just another, I guess, idea or question. We've we've been here for a while. Certainly Dr. Escamilla has been in charge of the organization for a while. We just brought in Dr. Napolis. Are there anything that we might be concerned about that you may have experienced at the other institutions that you worked at before coming to Del Mar? That we could have gotten in trouble, or could be something for us to look at in terms of internal audit?
Not at this point. In fact, Dan and I talked. We actually use Weaver for many of our services, and so some of those emergent risks that we were talking about, we may have already experienced. But one of the things that I was part of, because I was in charge of financial aid in the registrar's office, which was really big in reporting, is to make sure that we were in compliance with all the legislation that was passed the last session. And so our general counsel created a memo, and so we just had an Excel sheet to make sure that we covered everything that was part of the last legislative session. I don't know, Dan, if you have a list of all of those bills and some of your partners that are your clients that are in compliance with some of those higher education regulation changes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the list here, but yes, we do. We track all of those and do, monitor those as well. And I'll say, you mentioned, I mean, the great thing that you have going on here is that I think, we've been doing internal audit for you since 2014. Not a lot of community colleges have that. Really, there are some of the other college systems like Lone Star, Collin, Tarrant County, Dallas County, Houston. Those are the ones that have the more long-standing internal audit plans. So you're at your size of institution, you're a little bit outside of the norm, which that to me you're ahead of the curve there, because you're already out there monitoring and managing some of those risks that others they don't have an internal audit program. I know several are looking at instituting internal audit programs or have had one and then it's gone away and then it's come back. Those are all choices that you have to make as an institution. But when you talk about what emerging risks do we see, we don't see a lot of those at Del Mar because we've already been in and audited those areas at least once, sometimes twice. Not to say that risks don't change and operations don't change so that something couldn't happen, but you have been out there as an institution managing and monitoring those through an internal audit function for a decade now. So.
Wow.
We're going to ask Dr. Napolis to go back to 2016 and read every document that we've had in his free time, so he's brushed up and up to speed with what Del Mar's been doing.
I was going to say, use AI, just to throw them onto AI and say, what grade would we get? Satisfactory.
Use that new certification you got from the University of Texas, Gerald.
10 years of audits. That's good punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2 to 3 audits a year plus follow-ups for the last 10 years. Well, almost 12 now.
Well, in my opinion, it's money well spent.
Absolutely.
Any other comments? We have anything else, Dan?
No, nothing else. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. We have anything else for the good of the cause? We don't have anything going in closed session, right?
No, sir.
All right. So do you want to pass the motion that we're going to present it to the board, or how do we recommend the
I make a motion that we accept the audit
report?
reports of August of July 10th and August 12th.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Tammy, anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, guys.